Who is God? The Holy Bible reveals to us the majestic omniscience of God, a divine attribute that demonstrates that He knows all things, from the deepest secrets to the most intimate thoughts of every human being. In the 139th Psalm, King David expresses his admiration for God's omniscience when he says, "O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You surround my walking and my lying down, and He knows all my ways." But before continuing, I want to invite you to join this journey with us and support our work by subscribing to the channel, leaving a like and comment if you like the video, and also comment if you want any specific subject that you have doubts that we will explain to you. These words reveal that God is fully aware of our existence and daily activities. He knows our paths even before we walk them, and His knowledge is not limited by time or space. Furthermore, the Bible teaches us that God not only knows our actions, but also our hearts. In the book of 1 Samuel, when the prophet Samuel was looking for the next king of Israel, he looked at the outward appearance, but God rebuked him, saying, "You do not consider your appearance or your height," said to Samuel. "You do not consider his appearance or his height, because I have rejected him. The Lord sees not as man sees. Man looks at the appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." This shows us that God does not judge superficially. He deeply knows the heart of each one of us, understanding our innermost motives, desires, and desires. Furthermore, the Bible reveals to us that God not only knows each individual, but also has complete knowledge of the stars and the universe. He counts the number of the stars and calls them all by name. Great is our Lord and mighty in power. His understanding is infinite. These words show that God not only created the universe, but also knows each star by name, demonstrating His infinite knowledge and wisdom. God's omniscience is a constant reminder that He is in control of all things, knows our ways, and cares for us. Knowledge of Him goes beyond any human wisdom, and He is worthy of our trust and enthusiasm. Therefore, when we face challenges, we can lean on God who knows all things and who sees the deepest of our hearts. He is the keeper of wisdom and the source of all true knowledge. To trust in His omniscience is to find peace in the midst of life's uncertainties. In the book of Hebrews, chapter 4, verse 13, we find a powerful passage that highlights divine omniscience. "Nor is there a creature that is not manifest in His presence. On the contrary, all things are naked and open in the eyes of Him to whom we must account." This passage reminds us that there is nothing hidden from God. Every thought, action, and intent of our heart is completely known to Him. This means that we cannot hide anything from Him, and He is aware of all our choices and decisions. One of the most notable examples of God's omniscience in the Bible is the creation account in Genesis. God not only created the universe and everything in it, but He also knew the result of His creations from the beginning. He knew that everything He created was good and according to His perfect plan. Another passage that illustrates divine omniscience is in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 1, verse 5, where God says to Jeremiah, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, and before you were born, I consecrated you, and I appointed you a prophet to the nations." This statement reveals that God not only knew Jeremiah even before his birth, but also appointed him for a specific purpose. This demonstrates how God's knowledge goes beyond time and how He has an individual plan for each of us. The story of God calling Moses to lead the children of Israel out of Egypt also highlights His omniscience. God knew Moses' questions and concerns and responded to them in advance. showing his divine wisdom and his understanding of the needs of his servants. Furthermore, when we look at the book of Proverbs, we find several passages that emphasize wisdom as an attribute of God. Proverbs 2 declares, "For the Lord gives wisdom, from his mouth come knowledge and understanding." These passages remind us that wisdom and true knowledge come from God, and that he is the source of all wisdom. When we look to him for guidance, he gives us insight and understanding to face life's situations. In short, God's omniscience and wisdom are central themes in the Holy Bible. They remind us that God knows all things, from the secrets of our hearts to the mysteries of the universe. His wisdom is unmatched, and his omniscience brings us comfort and confidence, for he is aware of all our needs and cares for us with deep knowledge. One of the most striking events demonstrating God's omniscience is the calling of Samuel. When God called Samuel as a child in the temple, he already knew the future and the events that would shape the nation of Israel. God revealed to Samuel things that were unknown at the time, such as the judgment that would fall on the house of Eli. This episode highlights how God not only knows the present, but also the future, and his wisdom is unfathomable. The story of Joseph, son of Jacob, is another example of how God uses his wisdom and omniscience to accomplish his purposes. God revealed to Joseph through dreams the future adversities and exaltations he would face. Through these dreams, God was guiding Joseph's life, preparing him to be a leader in the midst of adversity and leading him to a pivotal role in Israel's history. In the passage from the book of Isaiah, chapter 46, God declares, "Remember the former things of old, that I am God, and there is no other. I am God, and there is none like me, who proclaims the end from the beginning, and from ancient times the things that are not yet done, who say, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my will." These words highlight the sovereignty and omniscience of God, who knows the end from the beginning and reveals his divine plans through the ages. In the New Testament, we see the wisdom of God manifested in Jesus Christ. 1 Corinthians tells us that Christ is the power of God and the wisdom of God. Christ's incarnation and ministry are earthly evidence of God's perfect divine plan and wisdom in proving mankind's redemption. Furthermore, Jesus' parables, such as the prodigal son and the Good Samaritan, reveal the depth of divine wisdom in teaching spiritual lessons through simple yet impactful stories. In the book of Revelation, we find prophetic visions that show how God knows the end times and is in control of all events that will culminate in the fulfillment of his will. This demonstrates his omniscience and his sovereign plan going on before our eyes. The Bible is full of evidence of God's omniscience and wisdom. It teaches us that God not only knows all things, but also guides and governs the universe with his infinite wisdom. Trust in this divine wisdom gives us hope, for we know he is in control, even when we don't fully understand his ways. In creation, we find a powerful example of God's wisdom. Genesis 1 recounts how God created the universe with perfection and order. He separated light from darkness, created the heavens and the earth, the seas and vegetation, and finally formed man in his own image. Every detail of creation reflects divine wisdom, as everything was made with a specific purpose and order. God's deep knowledge of each individual is also evident in the scriptures. Psalms describe how God knows our ways, our thoughts, and even the days of our lives before we live one of them. He formed us in our mother's womb with care and precision. This underscores the omniscience of God, who knows every aspect of our existence, even before we are born. The book of Proverbs is a rich source of divine wisdom. In it, we find advice on how to live a righteous and wise life. Proverbs 2 tells us, "For the Lord gives wisdom, and from his mouth come knowledge and understanding. God's wisdom is not just theoretical, it is practical and can guide us in our daily choices. God's knowledge is also revealed through his fulfilled prophecies. For example, the Old Testament contains several messianic prophecies that were fulfilled in Jesus Christ. Isaiah 53 is a striking example, describing in detail the Messiah's sacrificial death, which was fulfilled in the crucifixion of Jesus. The book of Job shows us how God is able to answer complex and challenging questions about the nature of human suffering and his sovereignty. God reveals his wisdom and control over all things to Job, showing that his ways are beyond human understanding. Finally, the Bible teaches us that true wisdom begins with the fear of the Lord. Proverbs 9 states, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding." This is a fundamental truth that reminds us that all human wisdom falls short compared to the wisdom of God. In short, the Holy Bible is a rich source of teaching about God's omniscience and wisdom. Each page reveals his profound knowledge and his perfect plan for mankind. As we study the Scriptures, we are invited to trust this divine wisdom and seek to live according to its principles for a truly wise and meaningful life. We hope you have enjoyed this fascinating exploration. If you liked this content and wish to follow more in-depth discussions on biblical themes, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Click the subscribe button, enable notifications by ringing the bell icon, and like the video so you don't miss any updates. Join us on our journey of knowledge, reflection, and inspiration. Become a part of our community and continue to delve into the wonders of biblical understanding. Subscribe now and share this message with friends and family who are also seeking growth. See you in the next video.